Let me tell you something. Life has a way of revealing people. The people you love, the people you trust, the people you think will ride with you until the very end. But the truth is, not everyone is who they pretend to be. Some people wear masks so well, you think they were born with them. But if you look closely, if you really pay attention, there are 5 things that will show you exactly who they are. 5 signs that will tell you clear as day whether someone is real or whether they're just playing a role in your life until it no longer benefits them. Because hear me when I say this, character isn't about words, it's about patterns. People can talk all day long about how good they are, how much they care, how loyal they'll be, but talk is cheap. Pay attention to these 5 things and you'll never be fooled again. Number 1, how they treat people who can do nothing for them. You want to know who someone really is? Watch how they treat the waiter, the janitor, the stranger on the street. Watch how they act when there's no spotlight on them, when there's no benefit to being kind. Because a good heart doesn't switch on and off depending on the audience. A real person shows respect to everyone, not just those they need something from. But a snake, a fake, oh, they'll put on a smile for the ones in power, the ones who can open doors for them. But turn around and you'll see the real face, the arrogance, the coldness, the disregard. That is who they truly are. It's easy to be kind when you're expecting something in return, when there's a reward waiting at the other end, when there's an opportunity attached to a relationship. People will go out of their way to put on their best face. They will smile, they will flatter, they will pretend to care. But if you really want to see someone's true character, watch how they treat those who have absolutely nothing to offer them. The people who can't advance their career, the ones who don't hold any power, the ones society often overlooks. That's where the truth lies. Because the way someone treats the small people in their life, whether it's a waiter at a restaurant, a janitor at an office, or a stranger on the street, reveals exactly who they are at their core. If kindness is only reserved for those they deem important, then it isn't real kindness at all. Think about the moments you've seen people interact with service workers, whether at a restaurant, a hotel, or even a grocery store. Some people are patient and respectful, treating them like human beings, but others, they become different people entirely. They snap their fingers, talk down, act as if someone else's entire existence is simply to serve them. They don't say please or thank you. They don't make eye contact. It's as if they believe certain people are beneath them. That right there is a dangerous mindset. Because no matter how much someone smiles at you, no matter how charming they seem, if they lack basic respect for others, it's only a matter of time before that same lack of respect is turned toward you. The way they treat those who can't fight back or walk away tells you everything you need to know about their heart. True character isn't built in front of an audience. It's built in the moments where no one is watching. Have you ever noticed how some people act differently when they're around someone powerful versus when they're around someone they see as less important? When they're in front of a boss, a celebrity, or someone wealthy, they light up. Their voice changes, their whole demeanor shifts. But put them in a room with someone they think holds no value, and suddenly the mask slips. They become dismissive, impatient, sometimes even rude. That contrast is a red flag. Because a person of real integrity doesn't adjust their kindness based on who they're dealing with. Their respect is consistent, regardless of status or circumstance. You see, arrogance has a way of creeping into people's hearts without them even realizing it. When someone believes they are better than others, it shows up in the smallest actions. Cutting someone off mid-sentence, rolling their eyes at an elderly person struggling to cross the street, ignoring the janitor as if they don't exist. These moments might seem small, but they reveal something deep, an inflated sense of self-importance. And trust me, that kind of attitude doesn't stay hidden forever. Because if someone can disregard the humanity of a stranger today, what makes you think they won't disregard yours when it no longer benefits them? On the other hand, the ones with real character move differently. They are the ones who acknowledge every person in the room, not just the ones in positions of power. They say thank you to the cleaning staff. They hold the door open for others without expecting anything in return. They don't see people as stepping stones, but as human beings, each worthy of the same level of dignity and kindness. And here's the thing, this kind of person is rare, because in a world where everyone is chasing status, money, and influence, genuine kindness is often mistaken for weakness. But let me tell you something. Kindness is not weakness. It's the strongest thing a person can possess. The real ones, the people worth keeping in your life, will always treat the so-called invisible people with just as much warmth and respect as they treat a CEO or a billionaire. They don't switch up depending on who's watching. And they don't pretend to be kind only when there's something to gain. They are who they are, through and through, whether they're speaking to a millionaire or a homeless person on the street. That kind of consistency, that's integrity. That's character. And that's the kind of person you want in your corner. Now, I want you to think about the people in your own life. Have you ever been out with a friend, a coworker, or even a family member and seen how they treat those around them? Did they acknowledge the waiter? Did they show respect to the cashier? Or did they act entitled, as if basic courtesy was beneath them? Because let me tell you, the way they treat that stranger, that's the way they will treat you one day. Maybe not now, maybe not when they still need something from you, but eventually, when the dynamic shifts, when the power is no longer in their hands, that same disregard will be turned in your direction. And by the time you see it, it might be too late. It's the little things that expose people. The way they react when someone makes a mistake. Do they show patience or do they lash out? The way they treat someone who can't fight back. Do they stay humble or do they take advantage? Character isn't about grand gestures or carefully crafted words. It's about those everyday moments that most people overlook. And if you're paying attention, you'll see it. You'll see exactly who someone is long before they ever turn on you. Here's something you need to remember. Power doesn't corrupt people, it reveals them. When someone gets a little bit of authority, a little bit of success, and suddenly they start treating people differently, that's not new behavior. That's who they've always been. They just never had the chance to show it before. The kindest, most genuine people stay the same whether they have everything or nothing. Their respect isn't conditional. Their kindness isn't performative. And if you want to surround yourself with people who will uplift you, protect you, and have your back no matter what, these are the ones you look for. So, the next time you meet someone new, the next time you're considering letting someone into your life, watch closely. Pay attention to the way they interact with people who have nothing to offer them. Pay attention to the small moments, the passing interactions. Do they show respect to everyone or only to those they think are important? Because that, my friend, is the truth. That is who they are when the mask is off. And once you see it, don't ignore it. Because the biggest mistakes in life don't come from what we don't see. They come from what we choose to overlook. In this world, people will show you exactly who they are if you're willing to look. And when they do, believe them, because the way someone treats those who can do nothing for them, that's the clearest sign of their true character. And trust me, when someone shows you who they are, you better listen. Number 2, how they handle adversity. Hard times don't just test character, they reveal it. Watch what happens when life gets tough, when things don't go their way. Do they stand strong or do they crumble? Do they take responsibility or do they blame everyone else? Some people are all smiles when life is easy, but the moment pressure comes knocking, their true nature comes out. Do they become bitter? Do they lash out? Do they turn on the people who once stood by their side? Because a real person, someone with integrity, doesn't change when the storm hits. They remain solid. But a fraud, a user, they will show you their true colors the moment the ground beneath them starts shaking. And when they do, believe them. You don't truly know someone until you've seen them go through fire. When life is easy, when the sun is shining, when everything is going their way, anyone can be kind, patient, and composed. But the real test of a person's character comes when the storm hits, when the unexpected happens, when they lose something they thought they'd never lose. That's when you see the truth, because adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. It strips away the mask, peels back the layers, and exposes what's been hiding underneath all along. Watch someone when life pushes them to the edge. Do they break down and turn bitter? Do they lash out at others, blaming the world for their problems? Or do they stand tall, face it with resilience, and move forward with integrity? That moment, when everything seems to be going against them, that's when their true nature is laid bare. A strong person doesn't crumble when things get tough. They don't start treating people differently because life has thrown them a curveball. They don't use hardship as an excuse to be cruel, manipulative, or deceitful. They remain who they are, even when everything around them is falling apart. Some people will only be kind and respectful as long as life is good to them. The moment adversity strikes, they become someone else. They turn on the people who care about them. They let frustration spill out as anger. They stop taking responsibility and start pointing fingers. You see it all the time. A person who once seemed so confident, so put together, suddenly becomes unrecognizable when life puts weight on their shoulders. That's the difference between genuine strength and temporary composure. Strength is not about how well you present yourself when everything is easy. It's about how you carry yourself when the weight gets heavy. Think about the people in your life. Have you ever seen someone go through a tough time and turn into someone you no longer recognized? Maybe they became bitter, lashing out at those around them. Maybe they isolated themselves, pushing away the people who cared the most. Maybe they allowed their pain to harden them, turning their heart cold. That's the danger of adversity. It reveals the cracks in a person's foundation. And if those cracks run deep, if they've never built true resilience, adversity will break them, not just in a way that makes them struggle, but in a way that makes them change into something unrecognizable. But then there are those who move differently, the ones who face their struggles head on, the ones who, even when life knocks them down, refuse to let it change who they are. They take their pain and use it as fuel. They take their losses and use them as lessons. They don't let failure define them, they let it refine them. And let me tell you, those are the people worth keeping close. Because life will test all of us. And when that time comes, you don't want to be standing next to someone who crumbles. You want to be standing next to someone who fights. Pay attention to how people respond when things don't go their way. When they lose their job, when a relationship falls apart, when a plan doesn't work out, do they fall into self-pity, looking for someone to blame? Or do they take control of their situation and find a way to rise? Because if someone can't handle setbacks with grace, if they let difficulty turn them into someone angry, bitter, or destructive, that's a problem. Because sooner or later, life will test them again. If they don't have the strength to handle their own struggles, what makes you think they'll be able to stand beside you when you go through yours? The truth is, adversity exposes everything. It shows you whether someone has patience or whether they're just pretending. It shows you if their kindness is real or if it was only conditional. And most importantly, it shows you whether they have the discipline to control themselves when life doesn't go their way. Because weak people break under pressure, but strong people bend, adjust, and come back stronger. And if you want to build a solid life, a life where you can rely on the people around you, you better make sure you're surrounded by those who can handle adversity with grace, not resentment. Have you ever seen someone go through a loss and take it out on everyone around them? Instead of dealing with their pain, they let it spread like wildfire, burning everything in their path. That's the kind of person you want to avoid. Because pain that isn't healed is always transferred. The person who can't handle adversity will make their struggles your struggles. They will drag you down with them. And before you know it, you'll be carrying not just your own burdens, but theirs too. That's why it's so important to pay attention to how people handle difficulty. Not just for their sake, but for yours. And let's talk about blame. Because weak people love to play the blame game. When adversity strikes, instead of looking inward, instead of taking responsibility, they point the finger at everyone else. It's always someone else's fault. It's the system. It's their upbringing. It's their friends, their boss, their partner, anyone but them. And that right there is the mark of someone who will never grow. Because growth starts with ownership. And the person who refuses to own their struggles will stay stuck in them forever. But strong people, they own their pain. They take accountability for their mistakes. They don't make excuses. They don't wallow in self-pity. They take their suffering and turn it into strength. They ask, what can I learn from this, instead of why me? And that mindset is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. So ask yourself, who do you want around you when the storm comes? Do you want someone who falls apart, who turns their struggles into weapons against the people around them? Or do you want someone who stays steady, who faces their trials with courage and wisdom? Because I promise you, life will test everyone. And when that day comes, the people around you will either lift you up or pull you down. Choose wisely. At the end of the day, adversity doesn't create character, it reveals it. It pulls back the curtain and shows you exactly who someone is. And if you're paying attention, if you're truly watching, you'll see it. You'll see who has true strength and who only pretends. You'll see who stands firm and who falls apart. And once you see it, don't ignore it. Because when someone reveals their true nature under pressure, believe them. Number 3, how they respond to your success. Listen to me. You will never truly know someone's heart until you start winning, until you start elevating, until God starts blessing you in ways they didn't expect. Watch closely. Do they celebrate with you? Do they clap for you with the same energy they clap for themselves? Or do they get quiet? Do they disappear? Because jealousy wears many disguises. It'll come as fake support, as backhanded compliments, as passive-aggressive jokes. But at its core, it's all the same. They don't want to see you win. A real friend, a real supporter will be right there, cheering just as loudly for you as they would for themselves. But someone who never truly cared, someone who only wanted to see you at their level or beneath them, oh, their mask will start slipping real fast. You want to know who someone really is? Tell them good news about yourself. Tell them you got the promotion. Tell them your business is thriving. Tell them you finally achieved something you worked hard for. Then watch. Watch their reaction carefully, because in that moment, they will show you the truth. Some people will clap for you, genuinely happy, cheering you on like your success is their success, but others will smile with their lips while their heart fills with resentment. They'll nod. They'll say the right words, but something in their energy will shift. And if you're paying attention, you'll feel it, because not everyone who stands beside you wants to see you rise. Some people are only comfortable when you're on their level, when you're struggling just like them. The moment you start winning, the moment you start climbing higher, suddenly they don't know how to act. And that's because your success is a mirror. It forces them to look at themselves. It reminds them of everything they haven't done, everything they could have achieved but didn't. And instead of being inspired, instead of using your success as motivation, they let envy creep in. They let insecurity whisper in their ear. And before you know it, their support turns into silence. Their congratulations start sounding forced. And little by little, the mask slips. A real friend, a person with true character, will never feel threatened by your success. They will never downplay your achievements or make backhanded compliments. They will never try to one-up you, turning every conversation into a competition. No, a real friend celebrates with you. They lift you higher. They remind you of how far you've come. And most importantly, they stand by your side whether you're struggling or thriving. Their support is consistent. It doesn't disappear just because you're doing better than them. But some people will act like your success is an attack on them, like your growth somehow takes something away from them. And instead of being happy for you, they start pulling away. They start making little comments, must be nice, or I guess you're too good for us now. They try to make you feel guilty for winning, for putting in the work, for becoming better. And let me tell you something, that's not love. That's not friendship. That's insecurity disguised as loyalty. You see, success exposes people. It reveals their hidden jealousies, their unspoken insecurities. It shows you who's really in your corner and who was only there when you were struggling. Pay attention to the ones who disappear when you start doing well. Pay attention to the ones who stop reaching out, who stop inviting you, who act like you changed when really it's their perception of you that changed. Because people with weak character can't handle seeing others win. It reminds them of their own stagnation. And instead of growing, instead of using your success as fuel, they turn bitter. They let resentment eat away at them. And before you know it, they're looking at you like an enemy instead of a friend. But here's the truth. Your success isn't the problem. Their mindset is. A person with strong character, a person who truly wants the best for you, will never feel threatened by your achievements. In fact, they'll push you to go even further. They won't just celebrate your wins, they'll remind you that you're capable of even more. That's the kind of energy you need around you. People who push you, people who inspire you, people who see your growth and say, keep going. I'm right here with you. Because when you surround yourself with those kinds of people, success doesn't just feel good, it feels safe. Have you ever noticed how some people can't even pretend to be happy for you? You share good news and they change the subject. You tell them about your progress and suddenly they're bringing up their own struggles, trying to shift the attention back to them. That's because they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to celebrate someone else's blessings when they feel like their own life isn't moving forward. And let me be clear, that's not your burden to carry. You don't have to shrink yourself to make them comfortable. You don't have to dim your light so they don't feel insecure. If someone can't handle your success, that's their problem, not yours. And let's talk about fake support, because some people will pretend to be happy for you while secretly hoping you fail. They'll smile in your face, clap for you in public, but behind closed doors, they're waiting for you to stumble, waiting for you to lose, because your failure would make them feel better about themselves. That's why you need discernment. Not everyone who says they're proud of you actually means it. Not everyone who stands beside you wants to see you win. Some people are just sticking around to see if you fall. So what do? You pay attention. You watch how people respond to your victories. Do they celebrate with you or do they act distant? Do they support you or do they make little comments that make you doubt yourself? Do they uplift you or do they suddenly start finding faults in everything you do? Because if someone can't be happy for you now, when you're just starting to rise, they won't be there when you reach your highest level. And those are the kind of people you need to let go of. At the end of the day, real support doesn't fade when you succeed. Real love doesn't turn cold when you start doing well. And real friendships don't crack under the weight of comparison. If someone can't be happy for you, if someone starts acting different the moment you start winning, believe them. That's who they really are. And once you see it, don't ignore it. Because success doesn't just change your life, it changes your circle. It reveals who's really with you and who was only there for what they could get. And when that truth is exposed, you need to be strong enough to walk away. Number 4, how they talk about others behind their backs. Pay close attention to this one, because it will save you from a world of heartbreak. If someone gossips, if they tear people down behind their backs, if they always have something negative to say about others, trust me, your turn is coming. If they betray someone else's secrets, they will betray yours. If they celebrate another person's downfall, they will celebrate yours. And if they can look you in the eye while stabbing someone else in the back, what makes you think you're any different? Loyalty isn't selective. Integrity isn't situational. If someone is a snake to others, they will be a snake to you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day. And when that day comes, you'll wish you had paid attention. You want to know the truth about someone? Listen when they think no one's watching. Listen when the conversation isn't about them, when they're speaking about someone who isn't in the room. Because the way they talk about others when they're not around, that's exactly how they talk about you when you're not around. Pay attention. There are people who will smile in someone's face, act like they care, pretend to be supportive, and the moment that person walks away, their whole energy shifts. Their voice changes. Suddenly they've got criticism, gossip, complaints. They start picking that person apart like they never liked them in the first place. And if you think for 1 second that they don't do the same thing to you when you're not there, you're fooling yourself. Because if someone is comfortable enough to tear others down in front of you, you better believe they do the same behind your back. You see, talking about other people behind their backs isn't just about words. It's about character. It's about integrity. A person who lacks the self-control to hold their tongue, who finds joy in criticizing and belittling others, is a person who cannot be trusted. Because if they have no loyalty to the people they interact with daily, If they can't honor the presence of someone even when they're absent, how could they possibly be loyal to you? Here's a certain kind of person who thrives on gossip. They carry stories like currency, using them to buy favor, to gain attention, to make themselves feel superior. They don't even realize that every time they open their mouth to tear someone down, they are exposing their own insecurity. Because that's all gossip is. A desperate attempt to elevate oneself by stepping on someone else's reputation. And when you see that, when you recognize that pattern, you have to ask yourself, do I really want this person in my life? It's easy to get caught up in gossip, easy to think it's harmless. We're just talking, people say. It's not that serious. But let me tell you something. Words have power. The things we say, the way we speak about people when they're not around, that reflects who we are. And if someone spends their time focused on the flaws, the failures, the mistakes of others, it's because deep down, they don't want to face their own. That's why they gossip. It's easier to talk about someone else's life than to fix their own. It's easier to criticize than to change. And here's where you need to be careful. People who gossip will eventually turn on you. The moment they don't need you anymore, the moment you stop giving them what they want, the moment they feel threatened by you, they will take the same words they use to speak against others and they will aim them at you. And you won't even see it coming because they'll do it behind your back, just like they've done to everyone else. So what can you do? Distance yourself. You don't need that energy around you. You don't need people in your circle who thrive on tearing others down. You need people who speak with integrity, people who uplift, people who can hold a conversation without dragging someone else's name through the mud. That's how you build a strong circle, by surrounding yourself with those who speak with wisdom, not with pettiness. And let's be honest, gossip is a test. When someone starts talking negatively about another person, you have a choice. You can join in, add fuel to the fire, feed into that toxic energy, or you can shut it down. You can refuse to participate. You can redirect the conversation. Because trust me, when you don't entertain gossip, people notice. And the ones who live for it, they won't like it. They might even get mad. But that's fine. Let them. Because your peace, your integrity, your character, that's more important than fitting in with people who have nothing better to do than tear others down. Have you ever noticed how the strongest, most successful people rarely waste time gossiping? That's because they know it's a waste of energy. They know that talking about other people doesn't bring them closer to their goals. It doesn't build anything. It doesn't create anything. It only breeds negativity. That's why people with true character, people who are secure in themselves, don't need to gossip. They don't need to sit around discussing what someone else is doing wrong. They're too busy focusing on their own life, their own growth, their own purpose. But the weak, the insecure, they thrive on it because it makes them feel powerful. It makes them feel important. But in reality, all it does is expose how small they truly are, because a person who feels the need to speak on everyone else's business has no control over their own. And let's not forget, people who gossip always exaggerate. They twist details, they add their own spin, they make things sound worse than they really are. And if they're willing to do that to others, don't think for a second they won't do it to you. This is why you have to be selective. Be mindful of who you trust. Because if someone shows you they have loose lips, if they prove to you that they lack discretion, believe them. At the end of the day, words are a reflection of the heart. A person who speaks with kindness, with wisdom, with integrity, that's someone you can trust. But a person who constantly spreads negativity, who thrives on drama, who has nothing good to say about others, that's a person you need to walk away from, because life is too short and your energy is too valuable to waste on people who don't know how to carry a conversation without tearing someone else down. So pay attention. Watch how people speak when the person they're talking about isn't in the room. Watch what they choose to focus on. Watch whether their words uplift or destroy. Because in those moments when they think no one's watching, they are showing you exactly who they are. And when they do, believe them. Number 5, how they act when they think no one is watching. This is the most important one of all. Who are they when no one is looking? When they have no audience, no reward, no consequences? What choices do they make? A good person is good in private. Their morals don't change when the cameras turn off. Their values don't shift when there's no one there to impress. But a liar, a manipulator, they are only as good as their witnesses. The moment they think no one is watching, they will become who they truly are. Because character, real character, is who you are when no one else is around. Character isn't revealed in public. It's not in the words people say when they know the world is listening, when they're being watched, when they have an audience to impress. Real character is shown in the moments of silence, in the spaces where no applause is expected, no rewards are given, and no one is keeping score. The true essence of a person isn't found in how they behave when the spotlight is on them. It's in what they do when they think no one is watching. You want to know who someone really is? Watch them in their quiet moments. Watch how they treat the janitor when no one else is around to see. Watch how they react when they see a stranger struggling but have nothing to gain from helping. Do they stop to lend a hand, or do they walk right past as if that person doesn't exist? Do they show kindness when it costs them nothing, or do they only perform goodness when it benefits them? These small, seemingly insignificant moments, that's where true character lives. Because some people only act righteous when there's an audience. They wear goodness like a mask, putting on a show of integrity, of kindness, of generosity, but only when people are looking. The moment they think no one will hold them accountable, the moment the cameras are off and the stage is empty, their true nature slips through. That's when you see who they really are. And if you're paying attention, if you're really watching, you'll notice that some people are only good when it's convenient. And that right there, that's dangerous. Because a person who is only kind when it benefits them is not truly kind. A person who only tells the truth when there are consequences for lying is not truly honest. A person who only acts with integrity when they know they're being judged is not truly trustworthy. Character is who you are in the dark. It's who you are when no one will ever find out what you did, when no one is there to reward you, when no one is watching to praise you. You see, a good person is good all the time, not just when it's easy. Not just when it looks good, not just when someone is around to clap for them. A good person is good because that's who they are at their core. And a bad person will put on a show. They'll perform goodness like an actor in a play, but behind closed doors, when the curtains fall, when there's no one left to impress, that's when the truth comes out. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone treat their boss with the utmost respect only to turn around and belittle the waiter? Have you ever watched someone put on a front of generosity in public, but in private they are selfish beyond belief? Have you ever noticed someone speak with charm and kindness in a crowd, only to speak with cruelty and arrogance when no one is around to judge them? That is who they really are. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake the performance for the person. People will show you who they are, but only if you're watching when they think you're not. Look at how they act when there's no status to gain, no eyes on them, no judgment being passed. Look at how they behave when there's no reason to pretend. Do they still hold themselves to the same standard? Do they still carry kindness, integrity, honesty, and respect when no one will ever know? Because that's the test. That's what reveals the truth. And let's not forget, some people are careful. They know how to maintain their act. But if you watch long enough, they will slip. Because no one can fake character forever. Sooner or later, their actions will betray them. Their true nature will come through. And when it does, believe what you see. Because once someone has shown you their true face, once they've revealed who they really are behind closed doors, you can't afford to ignore it. People like to justify. They like to say, oh, they were just having a bad day, or they didn't mean it that way. But let me tell you something. A bad day doesn't change who you are at your core. A moment of anger doesn't erase a lifetime of integrity. A moment of frustration doesn't override genuine kindness. But if someone's entire personality shifts when no one is watching, if the mask drops the moment the crowd disappears, that's not a mistake. That's who they are. The truth is, what you do in the dark will always come to light. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually the truth reveals itself. And that's why you have to be careful who you trust. Be careful who you let into your life. Because some people will say all the right things, do all the right things, appear to be everything you ever wanted them to be until the moment they think you're no longer looking. So here's what you need to do. Watch. Pay attention. Don't just listen to what people say. Watch what they do when they think no one's keeping track. How do they treat the ones they don't need? How do they behave when there's no reward involved? How do they act when they're alone? When there's no one there to clap for them, when there's no audience to perform for. Because that moment, that is the only moment that matters. That is who they really are. And when someone shows you that, don't ignore it. Don't make excuses for it. Don't pretend you didn't see it. Because the way someone acts when they think no one is watching is the purest reflection of their soul. At the end of the day, your character is the only thing that truly belongs to you. It's not your wealth, your success, your reputation. Those things can be taken, but your character, that's yours. And the same goes for the people around you. If you want to know who someone really is, don't look at who they pretend to be. Look at who they are when they think no one is watching. Because in those moments of quiet, in the unseen, in the uncelebrated, that is where the truth lives. At the end of the day, life has a way of revealing the truth. You don't have to go searching for it. You just have to be willing to see it when it appears. People's true colors will always come through in the way they treat those who have nothing to offer them, in how they handle struggles, in how they react to your success, in how they speak about others, and in what they do when they think no one is watching. Character is not built in the moments of applause, nor is it reflected in the words people carefully choose when they know others are listening. Character is what remains when the noise fades away. It's in the unguarded moments, in the split-second decisions, in the small, everyday choices that reveal who someone truly is. If you pay attention, you will see people for what they are, not for what they claim to be. If a person only shows kindness when there is something to gain, that kindness is not real. If someone only stands tall in good times but crumbles or turns cruel in adversity, their strength was never genuine. If they cannot celebrate your victories without feeling threatened, their support was never sincere. If they speak one way in front of you and another behind your back, they cannot be trusted. And if their morality shifts when they believe no one is looking, then it was never truly there to begin with. These 5 truths are not just observations. They are the blueprint for understanding the world around you. They separate the genuine from the fake, the strong from the weak, the loyal from the deceptive. And when you truly understand them, you gain power. The power to choose wisely, the power to protect yourself, the power to surround yourself with people whose character does not change with convenience. And this power, it's priceless. Because when you know how to read people, when you understand what their actions are telling you, you no longer waste time on the wrong ones. You no longer pour love, energy, and trust into people who were never worthy of it. You stop expecting loyalty from the disloyal, respect from the disrespectful, and honesty from the deceitful. You learn to walk away. Quietly, confidently, and without regret. But here's the most important part. As much as you look for these traits in others, you must also look for them in yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about who surrounds you, it's about who you are. Do you treat people with kindness even when there's nothing in it for you? Do you stand strong in adversity, or do you let challenges break your spirit? Can you genuinely celebrate others without jealousy? Do you speak with integrity, or do you tear people down when they're not around? And most importantly, who are you when no one is watching? These are not easy questions to ask, but they are necessary. Because greatness is not found in wealth or status. It is found in character. And character is built in the smallest moments. The ones that seem unimportant, but shape everything about who you are. So pay attention to others, yes, but also to yourself. The greatest legacy you will ever leave is not in what you say, but in how you live. Choose to be a person of integrity. Choose to be someone who does the right thing, not for applause, not for validation, but because it is simply who you are. And as for the people in your life, watch closely. The truth is always there, waiting to be seen. Believe what you see, trust what is revealed, and never let the wrong people take up space in your life, because who you allow around you will shape who you become. Thank you for your time, for your heart, and for your willingness to listen. May you move forward with wisdom, strength, and clarity. May you surround yourself with those who truly deserve you. And above all, may you always walk in truth, integrity, and unwavering character. God bless you. Stay strong. Keep rising.